Welcome back to Proxy, everybody, and today I'm going to be announcing the Eldar Knights Index Community Project that I will be working on over the next couple of months. So I've been wanting to do something like this for the community for a while, but really didn't know where to start. I didn't really have much inspiration outside of maybe doing something along the lines of Exodite Eldar or maybe even Corsairs. But with 10th edition and all the Legends units getting revamped, a Corsair army is kind of already possible within the regular Eldar Index, so I decided that I would go a new direction with it. And after talking with a couple of people on my Discord, I decided that it would be really cool to make an Eldar Knights Index. So what are the Eldar Knights? So the Eldar Knights were a really old epic army that GW kind of, dabbled in a little bit and then basically discontinued. Right? They were the Exodite defenders of the Maiden Worlds, the Lelathans, so to speak. And they would have these massive battles against Imperial and Chaos Knights. So I figured it's only fair, the Imperium gets a Knight army, the Chaos Forces get a Knight army. What about the Eldar, right? The Eldar are the coolest faction in the game, bar none, so why don't they get a Knight army as well? We already have a couple of different Knight models, right? We have the Phantom Titan, we have the Revenant Titan, and many more. And I really wanted to expand on this and flesh this out completely. So without further ado, let us go ahead and dive right into the video and talk about what this project is going to be and how we're going to achieve it together. But first, a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about in this video. We're going to be talking about what the project is and what it will entail, what the index will include, what you can expect from the project, and I'm going to give you an example datasheet and army detachment rules. So you're going to have both army rules and detachment rules for the Eldar Knights revealed today. Okay, so what is this project and what will it entail? So this project will be no less than the attempt to create a fully functional, yet unofficial, Eldar Knight Index in 10th edition. So yes, this is a fan project. This isn't official GW stuff. Obviously you need your opponent's permission to be able to play with this kind of stuff. It's not even Legends, right? It's not even stuff you could just field without your opponent's permission in casual games. You do need to actually ask permission from your opponent. So, however, a lot of players in the community are more casual, and I respect that. My gaming group itself has done stuff kind of like this in the past, where we've kind of made up our own rules and tried things out against each other just for fun when we're bored of stuff. And it's worked out pretty good. I think some of the best rules that I've interacted with personally have been player-created rules. So I hope this won't be a problem for a lot of players out there, and it really shouldn't be. If you're into playing casual narrative-type games anyway, I think this could be a really fun thing for you. And it'll generate support so that maybe later down the road, GW will look at something like this and the community support around this and say, well, we should do something like that so that we can make more money. The Eldar Index is going to be an honest interpretation of what the Craftworlds would feel to combat their Imperial and Chaos counterparts. And these are mostly going to be piloted by Exodites. So Exodites that have joined forces with the Craftworlds or are just defending their own Maiden Worlds or Lelathans. And for those of you Monkai who don't know what a Lelathan is a Maiden World. It's basically an Eldar terraformed world meant to, be rich in natural resources and stuff like that, specifically made for the Eldar. Obviously the most superior race in the galaxy, but after the Eldar fell, a lot of these Maiden Worlds fell as well. However, the few that remain are, of course, defended vigorously by the Exodites. So this kind of index is going to be the interpretation of what the Exodites would field alongside the Craftworld Eldar to defend themselves against the biggest threats. All right, so what will the index include? So the index is going to include full army rules. It is going to include, at the beginning, 1 detachment bonus, just like all the other indexes. It's going to also include 13 different Eldari datasheets with unique weapons, abilities, and battlefield roles. So these are going to be Eldar Knight datasheets, of course. They will have the Eldari keyword for certain interactions, but they're mostly going to be a separate thing. So this is not an army that you can typically run just as an Eldar army, so you can't just run, Craftworld Eldar as Eldar Knights or something like that. you really do need to use them as an army. Just like Imperial Knights are not Space Marines, right? You're running them as their own army. It is also going to include immersive lore and unit and ability descriptions, so those will be included. And eventually, I also hope to include stylistic artwork and downloadable STL files for 3D printing as well. I don't know much about 3D printing, but I'm sure I can find somebody who can maybe design a couple of these things if, all goes to plan. So each week, you can expect weekly updates on the channel's community page with new datasheets, army rules, lore, etc. You can expect fully balanced and play-tested rules once released. I already have a couple of buddies who said they'd be interested in, playing a few casual games with me with this to kind of test things out and tell me how OP it is, or, if it's not quite strong enough and things like that. So these rules will be play tested against several armies to just kind of see. And, as a veteran of the game, I can kind of tell when something's overtuned and when something is maybe a little bit weak. So I'm also going to use my expertise in that area as well. It is also going to have well-written lore and artwork. And community feedback, of course, is appreciated and will be acknowledged throughout the entire process. So I'm going to show this to you guys. And if you guys have any issues with it or maybe think that there's some sort of strange rules interaction in some way or need clarification with that, I will take that into account, and I will, of course, update the index accordingly. Okay, so here is the example that I kind of posted up on the community page on my channel a couple days ago, and this is the Void Annihilator. So the Void Annihilator is kind of cool, and I just want to run you through what this is really quick, because this is going to be the first knight model that you guys see. So essentially what the Eldar Knights are is they are a squishier version of the Imperial Knights, but with more movement, and they also have a more flexible and vulnerable save. So instead of only being able to use it against range attacks, Eldar ones, can use it against both melee and ranged. Here's the thing, though. If you look at the Void Annihilator's stats, right, it does have movement 12, so it is faster. It is only toughness 10, and it only has 20 wounds versus the 22 to 24 wounds of the bigger knights. And this is going to be a bigger version of an Eldar Knight. And of course, most Imperial Knights have toughness 12 or sometimes even toughness 13. So this is going to be a good deal squishier. And even the biggest of Eldar Knights are only going to have about toughness 11. So you can't really expect them to be that tough in comparison to Imperial Knights. But they are going to have some more movement and some more tricks and stuff like that. As far as its weapons, it comes with a powerful neutron lance for destroying the heaviest of enemy units and a binary flail for solid damage against infantry. If it hits a target with its lance at range, it gets +2 to its charge roll against that unit, making it extremely fast. So this is more of a cavalry type of model. It's more of a heavy shock cavalry type of model. So it does come with, of course, the lance for charging in and killing big stuff. The lance itself also has a range attack, but it's really only there to proc the ability. It's fairly powerful in and of itself. It's basically a bright lance, but with more strength. And instead of having damage d6 +2, it just has a flat damage 4 and no special abilities. It's really just there, again, to proc the model's ability to give it easier charge rolls. And yeah, that's basically it. That basically wraps up the model. Now, the thing about Eldar Knights is that they're going to be focused mostly on movement and being able to use their abilities in conjunction with each other to either grant themselves more movement or grant themselves more damage. So they're going to be used in combination with each other to pull off some really cool stuff. But, of course, you need all the pieces working correctly, and that does make the army a little bit of a higher skill cap. Speaking of the way that the army works together, its army rules are as follows. It has the Nimble Special Rule and the Engines of Fate. So basically, every Eldar Knight is going to have the Nimble ability. So each time this model makes a normal move, advance, or fallback move, it can move over other models, excluding Titanic models, and terrain features that are 4 inches or less in height, as if they were not there. So basically, this is the same thing as the Imperial Knight version. Due to their substantially larger base sizes, we don't want these models being obstructed by, the lesser infantry and things like that of the game. Okay, so as for the other army ability that they have, Engines of Fate. So once per turn, a model with this ability can add +1 to one of the following rolls after the roll is made. So advance roll, battle shock tests, charge rolls, damage rolls, hit rolls, saving throws, and wound rolls can all be modified by +1 after the roll has been made. However, this can only be done once per turn, regardless of how many times the model attacks. So, regardless of whether you use Overwatch or you're fighting in multiple phases or whatever, right? Like you're shooting and then you're going into combat, you can only use it once per turn, right? No matter what. So once that's used, that model can no longer use that ability for the remainder of the turn. And essentially what this does is it makes your models more efficient. However, what you do want to go ahead and keep in mind is that a hit or wound roll that is made like this counts as modified. So you cannot use it to proc things like devastating wounds or sustained hits. So that is something to consider. So it's not wildly OP. You're not going to be getting a bunch of extra sustained hits or devastating wounds or anything like that. But it is going to allow you to be a little bit more efficient when you attack. And not only attacks, but it also helps you with those utility rolls. Advanced rolls, battle shock tests, charge rolls, and of course, it gives you a little bit of extra durability with saving throws if you need it. And again, just let me know what you guys think about this or how this can be improved. I would love to hear your ideas in the comment section, so just let me know. But essentially the idea is to make the army a little bit more efficient without over-tuning it too much, right? So we don't want to do something that just makes the army super reliable, but we want to give that little extra bit of reliability that Eldar are known for. All right, so on to the detachment bonus, and this detachment bonus is going to be called Tide of Battle. And this is a two-part bonus, so essentially this is a mobility buff. So models in this detachment that destroy an enemy unit in the shooting phase can make a normal move of up to 3 inches at the end of the shooting phase, as long as they're not engaged, have advanced that turn, or are battle shocked. So essentially what this is this is like battle focus, except that you have to destroy an enemy unit. Now, this seems really bad at first because, it's like, oh, I have to destroy a unit. That's really tough to do. I may not be able to always do that. And that's true. But remember, these are knight models. A lot of them are very powerful shooters or very powerful in close combat, which is going to be the next part that we're going to talk about. So a lot of times, if you're able to draw line of sight to a unit, you are going to be able to kill it with the right synergies. And remember, this is going to be an army of synergies. You can't just expect one model to do all the heavy lifting for you. You're really going to have to use your forces in combination to be able to get the most out of your army. And what this ability will allow you to do is retain the mobility advantage on the battlefield. In some cases, you're going to want to use it to get some extra speed so that you can maybe make a charge or get to an objective. In some cases, you might want to use it defensively to move back or to move behind obscuring terrain or out of range of charges or things like this, right? And I really do think that this ability complements the army very well. It is kind of like battle focus, and a lot of players will look at this and see it as a lesser battle focus, but it does have some advantages over battle focus. So remember, battle focus was an ability that you couldn't charge after, right? It was D6. It wasn't something that you can guarantee a certain amount of movement on, and this actually does guarantee 3 inches. Okay, so there's another part to this because not only do we have models with range attacks in the army, but we have melee-centric knights as well. So models in this detachment that destroy an enemy unit in the fight phase can make a normal move of 3 inches at the end of the phase instead of a consolidation move as long as they're no longer engaged or battle shocked. So I really liked the idea that knights, at least Eldar Knights, could, instead of making a normal consolidation move, which has a lot of restrictions, right? If you want to make a consolidation move after you destroy an enemy unit, you have to move into engagement range of another enemy unit, or you have to move into range of an objective, right? Which is very constrictive in 10th edition. And because the Eldar are primarily a movement-based army, whether you're talking about Dark Eldar, Craftworld Eldar, or of course Harlequins, they all have these really insane types of movement abilities. And I wanted Eldar Knights to have something very similar, but something that's also not completely broken, considering they are knight models. They are very powerful. So there are some restrictions to this, right? You can't be engaged, which means you do need to kill the target that you are engaged with. And you cannot be engaged with another unit. So let's say you do a double charge, or maybe an enemy countercharges you with something, you do kill a unit, but you're still in engagement range, you cannot actually make this normal move. Or perhaps you're battle shocked by something, some sort of special effect or something like that that hasn't dropped off yet. You will also not be able to make this movement as well. So there are some restrictions that you do have to keep in mind, which gives your opponent the ability to counterplay, right? Things like heroic intervention and stuff can really muck up an Eldar Knight, make sure that they can't make that 3-inch move. But if everything goes to plan, you should be able to make that 3-inch move in any direction you want, and not just towards an enemy unit or an objective. Which again makes this army all about mobility. And just like the army rule, please give me your thoughts on it. Tell me if you think it's too weak or too strong. I personally think it's pretty strong, but, it's not overpowered. It's not something that everybody's going to just immediately complain about, because there's things you can do against it, right? You can position your units in different ways, stuff like that. The 3-inch move, while great, is not, too much. It's not like a phantasm where you're going to move 7 inches. And I also feel like both sides of the ability, whether you're shooting at enemy units and destroying them or destroying enemy units in close combat, it is conditional. So there are conditions in which you won't be able to use it. But like I said before, if everything goes to plan and, you're using your units in the right ways, in the right combinations, you should be able to use it, and it can be very powerful. All right, so I also wanted to let you guys know that I have started a Kickstarter for this project. And this is basically just to generate interest and support for the project itself. The drafts and the final index will be released through my channel Discord at no additional cost to Discord members, so that's going to be free. Everybody in my Discord currently who has supported the channel is going to get it for free. And those of you who join the Discord either through my Patreon or through other methods will also get access to that index. And you'll also get updates every week, regarding this on the channel and in the Discord as well. To join the channel Discord, again, you can become a channel member or support on Patreon, my channel store, or Amazon affiliate links, and they will be below in the description. The goal of this Kickstarter is going to be $1,000. Now, I know that seems like a lot of money, and it is, right? But this is going to take months of work. So this isn't just going to be a once and done thing. I can't finish a project this big in one day. I'm going to need help. I'm going to need people who can maybe do artwork or lore for the book. And if we do reach that goal or exceed it, I will be able to make the project look polished with professional artwork and in the future, STL files to represent the models via 3D printing, which I think would be really cool. If we can get some STL files basically of these guys so that, the community can 3D print them and actually have models that look like, some of the old Eldar Knights, but maybe updated a little bit. Obviously, some of these models, if you look at the pictures in the background, they look very old, right? We're going to, give them a modern perspective. We're going to give them an updated look so that they are much cooler. And I do want to let you guys know just again and remind you guys that this is a fan-made project, right? This is not an official Eldar Codex by any means. It's going to be Eldar Knights. It's going to be fan-made and community-based. So do keep that in mind. You cannot use it in official GW events or, ranked games or, matched play or anything like that without the permission of your opponent. Okay, so all backers on Kickstarter will gain access to the channel's Discord as well. So I know that's something I failed to mention earlier, but yes, everybody who backs, this Kickstarter project, if the Kickstarter is successful, everybody will get the Discord link so that you can download the, obviously the book, right? The index. Now, it will take me, after the project is completed, probably about another month or so to actually get this thing going. Now, regardless of whether or not this campaign is a success, I am going to design the rules for you guys. So regardless of whether we make that $1,000, because basically how Kickstarter works is if you don't reach your goal, you don't get anything. So basically the backers get their money back and you don't get a dime, which is okay, right? If it doesn't make the goal, that's fine. I'm still going to do the project, but it just not, it might not have the art and the cool lore and stuff that I want it to have, which I think would be a shame. I think we can do a really cool job, and I think it can be a really good chance for some of the Eldar community, members of the Eldar community, to showcase their writing and, of course, their art skills. So, by the way, if you guys have any art skills or you guys have any, design skills, STL file skills, or, writing skills or anything like that, please reach out to me via my Gmail and we can kind of collaborate on some stuff and see where that goes. And lastly, like I said before, the Kickstarter link will be in the video description. And I just wanted to thank all of you guys for supporting the channel over the last months and over the last year, because it has officially been a year since this channel has started. So thank you so much for those of you who have supported the channel and continue to do so. If you do want to continue to support the channel, of course you can, back this Kickstarter project, or you can support me through Patreon. I have free trials activated, so you can get instant access to my Discord community, which is a community of Eldar players and enthusiasts who love talking about strategy, tactics, and of course hobbying. I'll leave the link for that in the description as well. Or if you want to pick up some Eldar inspired apparel or discounted Eldar miniatures, I also have a channel store page as well as an Amazon affiliate link. And of course, the links to those will also be in the description. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and, check this out and tell me what your general interest in this is, because I would love to hear your opinions and comments on it. All right, everybody, peace out. That's going to be it for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody. See you later.